We just saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and the way this show works is we review movies in two parts. The first part is spoiler-free. We talk about whether we like the movie or not, whether we would recommend it or not. And then after the signal, for the cutoff of that, we talk about more about the plot, go into potential spoiler territory and things like that. So the first half of the movie is kind of designed to help you decide if it's something that you want to see or not, and the second half is for people that have seen the movie or have no intention of seeing the movie and just want to hear the rest of what we thought about it. So I really enjoyed this movie. I saw the first one whenever that was
2011.
Yeah. Wow, it seems like it was longer ago than that, but
yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that one. That one was kind of a sleeper, I think. I think there's a lot of people that didn't see it. Whereas this one, I think, is a much broader appeal. It's a bigger story. There's a lot more action. There's a lot more stuff going on. But it's just as smart, if not more so. And, you know, the Planet of the Apes series is known as a very good social commentary kind of a storyline, and, you know, the way they tell stories and they talk about people not understanding one another and using this sort of sci-fi convention to do that, you know, using apes instead of just another kind of people or, you know, an alien or something like that. It's a really interesting way to do storytelling. Everything about this is worth seeing. I can't think of someone that I would not recommend the movie to.
Maybe PETA.
I mean, it's a... It's not an R-rated movie. It's not super over-the-top violent. It's not, you know, there's not a whole lot of language or that sort of thing. It's really a lot of conversations and some, you know, some basic action scenes, but it's nothing that they couldn't show on television. So I really enjoyed it, and I'll get into more about that in a minute. But yeah, that's basically my recommendation is that if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it. And certainly don't let us ruin anything for you. So what'd you guys think?
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I thought that it had a lot of good action sequences. The cinematography was fun. Like, it doesn't you know, really get shaky or anything. They have really awesome camera shots. The story is fun. If you're, you know, it's sci-fi, if you're into, you know, anything that's just, I don't know, different and also challenges your brain to really wrap your mind around what's going on outside of, like, you know, America and the world, but like also, well, outside of the world, but outside of America in the world, this movie helps you to conceptualize that with the social commentary that it helps provide. So it's really great. I liked it. I would recommend it to anybody who's seen the originals, the first one, not the Tim Burton remake though. If you've seen that one, don't expect to be entertained by this one. They're two totally different films.
Yeah, very much. What'd you think, Cal?
Yeah, I really liked it. It might have been just a little bit long in parts, but it was a very different kind of movie. I've yet to see the 2011 one, so I'm going to go see that. I want to get the backstory on that. But what for me really made it was like, and it's not a trivial thing, is the special effects. They'd kind of gotten past the uncanny valley thing where things look kind of real but kind of bizarre, weird. The facial expressions are amazing, and the special effects really sell it, because like I didn't realize how much of the movie literally is watching apes. But it's a lot cooler than it sounds.
Yeah.
It's really an awesome movie. It's very different. I've never seen anything quite like it. So
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
like
it's a whole army of Andy Serkis, you know.
All that facial motion
looking
capture
better
stuff.
than Gollum ever did. Like, just
Well,
because of where the technology's at.
Right.
What'd you think, Darin?
Well, and it's like, you know, people kind of fall in love with Gollum, you know, but you're going to find yourself seriously attached to the main characters as far as the apes in this movie, I think. And I think that's what drives it. They really give it a sense of human emotion by bringing that element and mixing it. And there's an obvious power struggle, whether it be accidental or purposeful on both sides. It drives the story, and it really makes you stay focused as to what's going on with it. You're not just there watching a bunch of monkeys beat on logs and sticks and running around chasing each other and flinging poop.
It's not Transformers with monkeys.
Right, exactly.
Because that's honestly, that's what the movie could be. Like, it could be a bunch of CGI thrown around and, you know, a bunch of crazy action scenes and things like that. So.
Well, and that's just it. You know, the CGI it's so technologically advanced from what we were used to even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Jurassic Park, I think, was the first movie that came out that I was looking for flaws in the animals, and I could not find it.
Yeah, and that movie holds up. And I actually was watching this thinking, this is the new Jurassic Park.
Right.
Like, this is the new...
From the very first frame
benchmark.
on his eyes, on Caesar's eyes. Yeah. Amazing.
This is the new benchmark. You did bring up a good point, though, too, Cal, that one thing to be aware of is that the movie is fairly long. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it does seem to drag a little bit toward the end. But I think part of that is because they're very much putting a sequel in place. They're getting that ready. They're putting those pieces together, and so it doesn't sort of wrap the way you think it's going to wrap. There's like an extra 10 or 15 minutes at the end.
Right.
But anyway, that's our basic overview. We're saying go see it. We're recommending it, and definitely don't watch the rest of this video if you haven't seen it yet, because we don't want to ruin it for you. We don't want to take it away from you because there's so much great stuff going on in this. So
we give it 4 out of 5 bananas.
Yes. So turn it off if you turn us off if you haven't seen the movie yet. Go check it out. And subscribe and like the video and come back and see us again. So to get into more detail, one of the themes of, I think the main theme of the Planet of the Apes series is the idea of xenophobia. The idea of being afraid of the other that you don't understand, and not realizing that they fear you just the same way that you fear them. They have the same problems that you have. And with the plot of this movie, it's basically there's Jason Clarke's character on the human side, who is the good protagonist looking for a peaceful solution, and there's Gary Oldman, and to a lesser extent the sort of douche guy that ends up getting them in trouble like every time. The asshole.
There's always a dick.
That guy. And then on the ape side, there's Caesar, who's the main protagonist, and he's looking out for everything and looking for the peaceful solution. And there's I've already forgotten again his name.
Koba.
Yeah.
Who's returning character from the 2011 movie, and he's sort of the antagonist on the ape side. He's now that we're into the spoiler side of it, so he actually pretty much sets off the powder keg.
The shot heard around the world kind of thing. He starts the war, the full-on war.
He blames that he gets the humans framed for starting the war, but he's actually the one that did it.
He's a wicked little monkey.
Yes.
That whole...
And I think he survived. That's my prediction.
I can see that happening.
The way they shot that and the way he fell, I think he survived.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
I thought that was really interesting, too, that they, the way that they portrayed the same characteristics between humans and apes, in the sense of even the assassination, this and the fact that it's Caesar and was betrayed, and there's so many subtext, just so much there that you can read into and look at, and it's it was amazing to get to watch all of that unfold through a different medium, through the ape world. Yeah, it was incredible, especially with the facial expressions and the features they had.
Well, it's kind of like we mentioned earlier too. It's the fear of the power shift, because in reality, if something like that were to happen on a different scale, and I'm not talking with apes, but just period, whether it be an outside source or even birds decide, we're going to kill all humans, nobody's going to really be ready for something like that. So that power struggle comes in, it throws a fear factor into it a lot of ways, because it could be nature itself that ends up killing all human race, and we'll have no power over it. Just like we kind of ended up in this situation in this movie. They all thought all the monkeys were gone or nowhere near them, and they stumble into them on accident, and that's what starts the struggle. And next thing you know, everybody's the monkeys are stealing guns.
Yeah. Well, and there's also the
Adapting.
the emphasis on how powerful and how important communication is to diplomacy and dealing with this sort of getting over xenophobia or dealing with diplomacy and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that, you know, if they had successfully killed Caesar, they were pretty much screwed as far as ever really understanding the humans again. Because he was the smartest one. He was the one that could speak and actually interact with humans. And the rest of them just had sort of limited abilities to speak and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Marcel was the orangutan.
Yeah.
Right, Marcel. You
And he's a returning character as well.
You could tell he was kind of on the forefront of trying to learn more about the human race just by his interaction with
and he was
with his son.
He was like the teacher at the beginning.
Right.
All the, like kids. Like,
I love that.
Oh, I forgot
all the
that.
little
Yeah,
baby
yeah.
chimps running around in circles. He's like, hey.
Yeah. Well, and then they had the blackboard with the laws.
Right,
you know,
right.
Ape, no kill ape.
Right.
Which I thought was really. I mean, just every aspect of this was well done. It looked beautiful. I love the fact that they used. You know, you've got this apocalyptic world that, you know, in the movie's setting, it's 10 years since the virus wiped out, you know, 80% of the population, and they, instead of it being, you know, the desert wasteland that we've seen in every, you know, apocalypse movie and all of that, it's in beautiful Muir Woods in San Francisco that's been overgrown. And
You know, it reminded me a lot of the video game The Last of Us.
yeah,
Very much the
absolutely.
same kind of aesthetic.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah.
I like that. I like when they go the nature kind of takes over route versus the everything's just smoke,
Just
like
weeds growing up
nuclear
around
winter
buildings
sort
and
of
stuff.
thing.
Sure.
Kind of like, well, you saw 12 Monkeys
Oh,
with
yeah.
Brad Pitt and how everything was overgrown. They kept sending Bruce Willis back and everything was overgrown and lions were roaming the streets. And it almost had the same
Yeah, I forgot
feel
about that.
to a certain aspect. This was obviously a little bit more detailed.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit more focused on what was actually going on just between the humans. And it's not like, you know, you saw a bear and that's really the only other animal, an elk, that you see in the whole movie.
Yeah. Right.
I expected to see snakes coming out of the trees, but it was like there was just apes and there was just humans.
Well, I love the way that they built, you know, like the production design of the ape civilization. They had built their own homes and their own structure and their, you know, they had like little huts that they stayed in and stuff like that.
I swear I saw a hot tub. In the bottom right-hand corner when they're panning down on the first city, there was 3 monkeys with sticks poking in, and there was bubbles coming up out of it. I was like, monkey hot tub.
Yeah.
Nice. Hot
But
springs.
yeah, it's I really enjoyed that. I really liked the production design of it. I liked that sort of you know,
the natural feel of it. Just,
yeah, and it not being, because like what you were saying with 12 Monkeys, like that's cool, and I've seen other movies do that before, but not to this degree where you actually have a species that you know, like we know what apes are like, you know, in real life, but you have this sort of extrapolation of what would happen if apes were smarter than they are now and had the ability to, you know, build houses for themselves, build structures and that kind of stuff. That was really neat to see. What else did you guys like?
The ending I thought was so symbolic and awesomely done, just like executed so well.
Yeah.
Like when the good guy's talking to the guy that Caesar's gotten to know, and it's kind of like a handing off to the apes, because you know what's coming. There's going to be one big last war, and then it literally is going to be the planet of the apes.
And when
humans aren't going to last, and it's almost like he's a human. He just kind of falls into shadow because he's got to go run.
fades away.
Well, yeah, it's the literal dawn of the planet of the apes. Right. It's the sun's rising, and Jason Clarke steps back into the darkness and disappears.
And then it's Caesar, and he's got like his order of people and whatnot, and you see the experience in his eyes, and he's just kind of like, I just thought it was executed so well as a, you know, very, very cool.
I'm a big fan of Jason Clarke, and I thought he was really good in this movie. He's the guy that played Malcolm.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Kerry Russell's also in
Russell
it. She was
good.
she was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like her fine on The Americans, but I think she was much better in this.
Just very natural.
Oh man, I'm glad you said that because I was beating my brains out trying to think of what I'd seen.
Yeah.
And I love The Americans, and that just hit me when you said it. I was like, oh man, yeah,
She's like really stoic and hardcore in
Oh,
that,
yeah,
and this
yeah.
was more
a little
like
softer side of her.
a little bit of but there was like more emotion and expression
Yeah.
in what she was doing.
I was half convinced that Blue Eyes was Jared Leto. Like the serenity in his eyes, his son's eyes, who he called Blue Eyes, was just like incredible. And every time they showed a shot of him, I was like, is that Jared Leto in ape form? It just seemed like, like they were bedazzling.
Dazzled chimpanzee guys.
Yeah, I loved that that there was.
Zach got reprogrammed by the
I want one.
the ape eyes.
I always wanted a spider monkey.
Jared Leto looking chimpanzee. I love that they had that father-son moment because throughout the film, Caesar is trying to teach morals to not only to like all the ape community, but like just his son in general. And his son is very young and gets out of control and
Another power struggle.
Yeah,
Just like we as humans have, with our own kids.
Yeah, that whole aspect of making it human in the sense of the fact that it's not just humans who go through that. It's almost any species, if you think about it, where the behavior lies, there's similarities there. And I love that they did that and they brought it full circle with him coming back and redeeming himself in his father's eyes and all that stuff is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought too that the whole there was that section where Caesar's out of the movie, and it seems like he's dead. It appears that way. They make that, they sell that harder than they sell Koba dying. But like when that's gone, like they really explore what that looks like. Like what that would really be like if they had lost him.
Right.
And to the point where it's like, it kind of amazed me because as soon as he was shot, it was like, wow, that's really ballsy that they did that. That's cool, but I'm not sure I'm not going to like this movie as much now because I don't have that character that I really liked.
Right.
But then I just went on loving the movie. Like it just kept.
I wanted to see where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but I still got to know where this ends up, because I almost thought that the son would overcome Koba.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. Yeah, the son's going to rise up and beat the crap out of Koba, and that's going to be...
Which he kind of did. I mean, he sort of became the central character after that. And we're following him, and he's talking to Marcel, and Marcel's basically like, watch your own back, like don't worry about us,
be smart,
because this guy's dangerous kind of thing, but you're free right now, so be smart and stay that way and stay alive kind of thing.
I did love the bus breakout scene. That was
that
might be one of my favorite scenes in the whole because I didn't see that coming at all, but that was classic.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I haven't seen Rise since it first came out, but isn't Marcel the one that like breaks them out?
To an extent.
Like he helps, plans it, or
he helps plan it, but they all crawl out of the habitat together, and then the other larger gorilla also, because they throw the latches open, and then eventually they just start breaking out through it once they get everybody in together. But he was an influential character into Caesar's rise to power over the apes.
Right.
Yeah. So
and you look back at Koba, and basically his whole thought process. He kept pointing out all his scars when he was in the test labs. Humans did this. Humans. So you could see where it was going in his mind from the very beginning. He was ready. He was ready.
Well, and he got a rough shake in the first movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas Caesar had like James Franco looking out for him and taking care of him.
Hanging out in his bedroom with James Franco.
Yeah. And he says that too. He's like, all you know is human hate. You were born in a cage.
Right.
This is all you know. And also that like he couldn't forgive. Koba couldn't forgive.
Right.
But also humans couldn't forgive. And so it was like Koba was more like a human than he even thought he was.
Yeah.
Which is really another
cycle of revenge.
Well, and he just played it back and forth really well because like the asshole of the movie. What, do you forget your kid? Weren't your kids killed by this whole thing? It was the damn monkeys. And she's trying to say, it was a man-made virus tested on monkeys, and they got out. It's man's fault. No, bullshit. It's the monkey's fault. And then it's Koba playing it back. It's the freaking humans, torturing and killing. Now they're in cages.
Yeah, it's another parallel to the xenophobia thing and to things like propaganda and things like that, where you've got, like you take the Cold War as an example. Americans are taught to hate and fear communists before they think about it, like before they talk about it, before they like try to explore diplomacy or anything like that. It's like, no, these people they're out to get us, and you can't trust them.
Us and them.
All on that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Us and them.
That division. And the same thing on the opposite side, the capitalist pig Americans they just want to take all your stuff and kill you, and
just that tribal mentality.
And again, communication is a huge barrier there. Where if you've got two warring factions that speak the same language and all that sort of thing, like
can create trust.
You can at least have a hope of reaching some kind of an agreement at some point. Or at least understanding what happened. Hearing grievances and that kind of thing. But
good movie.
Very good movie.
Very good movie.
We're still talking about the psychology of the movie, and not about the stuff that made us laugh or the dazzling special effects. Or
there were some very good comedic moments as well.
Absolutely.
They played into some some stereotypes and some tropes and of things, and it was entertaining.
I love it. Koba is doing the somersault, sits down, has a drink with them. He's like, and he's sitting there going,
like the whole, whole circus.
That was hilarious, man.
That was awesome.
Getting sitting back, got his arms back, hanging out with the guys, drinking it, spitting all over them, and got a hold of their legs, and they're shaking their knees, and just everything about it was just human element. And they're just laughing, yucking it up.
He's playing the stereotype against it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's playing the ape,
as
what they expect.
Yeah.
And making them laugh, and then, oh, by the way, I have your gun now.
Well, and that's the only part about the movie that I'd say I loved it. It was comic. But you have to think, who put the idiots in charge of the guns? That would be my first thing. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? If they knew they were planning on being attacked or they're testing weapons to go to war with them, why in the hell would you ever let a monkey get that close to you? Whether he's doing cartwheels or throwing grenades, I'd say.
The thing is, though,
keep the distance, monkey boy.
You have to understand, if it's been 10 years since you've needed the guns, the only people that still give a shit about guns at that point are the crazy gun people.
Right.
Yeah.
And the ex-military guys. You know?
The people that care about that stuff more than they care about, growing food or...
Yeah. So they put the two drunk rednecks out in the pasture to test the guns.
Pretty much.
And that's, pretty much the monkey outwits the redneck drunks.
Yeah.
Testing the guns, unfortunately.
Yeah. And those guys were great, too. The one guy's from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, he was really... I mean, all of the cast was really, really good.
I love the no, you go away. That was one of my favorite parts, like he was talking to a dog.
I think some of the comedy just came from the mannerisms of the apes, as they're for us, very human-like gestures.
Yeah.
But to see an ape perfectly animated and do it, it's funny. Like, people were giggling in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's so funny, like watching how... just little mannerisms unfold, and that in and of itself is a lot of comedy in the movie.
There was also a lot of the, oh shit factor of, people were just, hanging out or whatever, and then, 1,000 apes have, snuck up right next to them.
Yeah.
They turn around, there's, 4 apes on horseback,
they're like,
hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And somebody wasn't playing their boombox too loud and just turned it off and turned around and there's 100 apes standing there. Whoa!
Yeah.
I didn't hear you guys sneaking up on me. And half of them were sitting out just kind of hanging, like they'd been there for an hour.
I think, like, the special effects, I think, are like the new Jurassic Park, but I think as a movie, I think this is a better movie than Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, more of a thinker movie.
There's better characters in it. There's a better storyline in it. You know, it's not just a... Because you know exactly what Jurassic Park is. Like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're sitting there like a kid going, I want to see the T-Rex. I want to see the T-Rex.
It's good entertainment.
But, like, you know,
there's more to think about with this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
After it's done.
You know the guy has gone too far, like playing God with
DNA and
the dinosaurs,
frogs, and
all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was done a lot better. This was a little bit more. I think it had to have that more of a psychological element than obviously movies like Jurassic Park or Sharknado. You know, I mean, it's CGI.
Going from Sharknado to this was like going from night into day.
Yeah, I missed the Sharknado, which I've only been able to sit through 10 minutes of that so far.
It was like going from Punch and Judy to Citizen Kane. So yeah,
classic.
But anyway, that's our review. Hope you enjoyed that. Please check out the rest of our reviews. Like us here, subscribe, and we've got all the written reviews for all the movies that we see, which is most of them, over at dalemaxfield.com. So thanks for watching. See you next time.